Namo Buddhaya. This is one Buddhist greeting someone said today, which you often hear in India, but not so much elsewhere. Welcome. Welcome to this abiding. I was going to say temporary abiding, but it's feeling quite permanent with the welcome I've received here. But of course, being that nothing is permanent, all abidings are temporary. The purpose of this wandering life, this life of a samana, is partly to continually remind ourselves of that fact, that we settle in a place for a little while and move on to another place. Now I'm settling here largely because of the rain. The rain continues here, not the seriously heavy monsoon rains, but certainly it can be wet by anyone's standards up until today in the evenings. 5 until 6, around that time, maybe later on into the evening, some rain, which has meant charaka, walking, tudong, wandering around this beautiful country as a wandering ascetic, has been put on the back burner for a while, put on hold, and I've made this place my base. And I think it will remain as such even when I do go wandering, because I've established lots of wonderful kalyana mita, noble friendships, beautiful friends, wonderful supportive people here in this area. This morning it rained, not in the evening. Actually this morning, after I'd done my morning chanting, ready to go on Pindapat, the heavens opened. Again, not the heavy monsoon rains, but it was wet, very wet, and I didn't bring, thinking the monsoon season, the Vasa, was now over in India. I thought, oh, well, I'll chance it, I won't take an umbrella. I like to travel very light, as you know, just my forgotten the word now, artakarya, the 8 items we carry as a monk. Our bowl, our 3 robes, razor, water filter, belt, and sewing kit, needle and cotton to repair the robes. That's all we carry, plus a few little extra necessities, but not much else. So one thing I should have brought was an umbrella, which I didn't. So I thought, I have to go on Pindapat. We go anyway, otherwise we don't eat. This isn't a temple where people are bringing dana every day, food offerings to monks in residence. So I go on Pindapat, arms round, begging for my food with my bowl each morning. So again this morning, even though it was raining, I set off. They've delivered a big pile of mud at the front, so I had to kind of wade through that first. I'm not sure what that's for. But within less than 100 meters, 100 yards, a man came up to me and offered me his umbrella, a very nice umbrella. And my immediate reaction was, what about you? You know, because he's going to work, he's going to get very wet. He said, you keep. And he just gave me his umbrella. I was delighted, because it's very difficult when these robes get wet, they get very heavy and they kind of start to hang off. The weight pulls them off your shoulders, you see, and they go one way or the other and start dragging in the ground. It's very difficult. So a big, nice, one of these insurance umbrellas, he just gave to me. And that saved the day. So off I went on Pindapat, and once again had a wonderful walk through this small town and the marketplace. Saw all the usual faces who are always so happy to see me, so smiling, and so happy to have the opportunity to be generous, to give something to eat, to the Sangha, or to me, the monk, for my meal. And it's a wonderful experience. It's delightful. And one of the questions, I will get to them in a minute, is how is Sri Lanka treating you? Well, like that, just that. It's wonderful, isn't it? That a foreigner like me can come to a country like this, appreciably, I have in common with them these robes, albeit I'm in a different colour to what they're used to, perhaps, but they recognise me as a monk. They recognise I'm on Pindapat, so that is familiar to them. But from what I can see and what I understand, I think this is a very welcoming country to all people. So you come here on your holidays if you can, or if you don't want to call it a holiday, you want to come here on a meditation retreat or something like that, and there isn't something in place, you look me up, find me. I will find you suitable places to stay in this area, and I will be having live group meditation here in this place or another place if we need something larger in due course as time moves on. I mean, that's not to say, as the weather improves, I will go for some wandering days, continue with this charaka, this tudong, maybe go away overnight a few times, a few overnight stays, but perhaps come back to here as a good central base and place to build a relationship with the local people, as I'm doing, really not only for their support, but because they seem to really appreciate having that contact with a monk whom is perhaps a little bit different, someone a little bit more distant from the temple environment that they're used to, that they only really get to see on special occasions. They get to see me in their life, in their everyday life, so at their doorstep in the morning. So like meditation, when we meditate in a formal environment, we sit on the cushion in our meditation centre with our Kalyana meter, our friends meditating, and we enjoy this experience of meditation, whether it be on retreat or just on an hour or so once a week, and then we go away, and it's kind of forgotten about. It shouldn't be, because what we're developing there is samadhi. We're developing we're training our mind, like sharpening a knife, making it razor sharp, so that when we go out into the world, if we think of the world as soft mangoes or soft tomatoes, we can the obstacles of the world, worldly life, as soft tomatoes or soft mangoes. With the development of samadhi, that sharpness of the blade, we can just slice through, slice, smoothly and easily. Of course, in the world with obstacles, if you have a blunt instrument, a blunt knife, it goes mushy and there's juice everywhere and it's a horrible mess. So this development of samadhi through this formal practice is very important, because it's sharpening our ability to focus, have clear seeing clearly. This is what they call vipassana. This is the real translation, the real meaning of vipassana, seeing clearly. So it gives power to our mindfulness, so that when we go into our daily activities, all of the things we're doing, we have sati, mindfulness, right sati, samasati, right mindfulness, to be able to deal with obstacles that come up carefully, but not in a reactive way, in an equanimous way. Deal with them effectively, calmly, with kindness to others, kindness to ourselves. And this we take from the meditation centre out into all of our daily activities. So as a wandering monk, as a wandering ascetic, as a tudong monk or a charaka monk, someone who's not staying in the temple, being on people's doorsteps is bringing the temple out to them, much like you take your mindfulness from the meditation cushion out into worldly life. It's bringing their faith, their devotion, of which there is so much in a country like this, in a Buddhist country, their saddha, This isn't blind faith, it's trust. It's trust, it's, what's the word? Faith? It'll come to me in a minute. My mind's gone blank on the word. I'm trying to avoid saying it's like belief in the religion. It's confidence, that's the word I was thinking of, confidence. It's confidence in the teachings of the Buddha. This is what we mean by faith in Buddhism. Saddha is really true, deep confidence in the teachings of the Buddha. By being seen by lay people, as a monk, being seen by lay people, living as a monk on alms food through this process of going on pindapat, alms round each and every day, whatever the weather, we are reminding people of just that, their own faith, their conviction, their confidence in the teachings of the Buddha, in the Dharma and of the Sangha. So it's a very important aspect that the Buddha encouraged so much, that we do go every day. It is, after all, our livelihood, literally. It's how we live, and it is very much right livelihood. Now, the people here, the generous people here, they all do offer me money, and I explain to them very nicely anumodana, which is kind of thanking them, saying thank you without saying thank you, but rejoicing in their generosity, but no thank you. So I don't accept that, but please, food, and I show them, open my lid of my bowl and say, food only. Because it's very important they know that we as monks are going out begging, but not for money. We're going out begging for our day's food, our supplies. Now, that's not to say we don't need some money as monks to live and survive, and I'm very fortunate that donations do come in behind the scenes from all over the place that assist in that. But I need very little, and I live in a country that's relatively inexpensive to live in. Of course, my accommodation is provided for me, my robes are provided for me, my food is provided for me each and every day. I'm not allowed to store food overnight or cook food, which means that I'm reliant on the lay people to go out every day and get my food. This is why we need to stay within a sort of walking distance of a town or a place where we can do that every day, which is why I've based myself here. You might say, why doesn't he get off that busy road? Well, this is ideal for going on pindapat each day. It's just the right distance. I think it's 9,000 steps, so I don't know how many there and back, that is. No, that's a little bit in the afternoon too, perhaps. So it's about 7,000 or 8,000 steps going into town and coming back each day, which is quite a few kilometres, but it's just about the right amount to wander in and get my food each day and be very well supported. And of course there's also medicine. Now each day I'm given this wonderful Sri Lankan tonic, I'd call it, but it's a breakfast drink they have here called Kola Kanda. Spelt Kola Kanda. I'm not sure quite how it's spelt, but I had to Google it to find out what it was. But it's made of these leaves, herbal leaves, and coconut milk or juice, and ground rice, and it's like a smoothie, a green smoothie, but it's an Ayurvedic medicine. It's very healthy. So this medicine I get every day, and it will give me all of these extra nutrients that I perhaps need living in this extra hot, humid climate. After all, it's quite close to the equator here. So I'm very well looked after in that respect and need very little more. So I certainly don't accept or want to accept cash donations from these dear people who are in the town, and they're getting used to that, and I think they appreciate that that is the authenticity of my practice, because of course it isn't just a matter of choice, it is our 10th precept that we don't use money. Now, of course, as I think I discussed or talked about in other talks, but yesterday as well, I mean, certain occasions like visas and tickets, plane tickets, money is required. And here my vices here are Marmite, because that's got all of the missing nutrients, vitamin B12 and iron, that especially at my age, one shouldn't miss out on. And as a vegan or a vegetarian, I can't say I'm truly vegan because I have had some cheese since I've been here, and accidentally some eggs in my food, and possibly other dairy products in there, but not intentionally really do I have those things. But without those things, I'm lacking in vitamin B12 and iron, which are essential for making your food turn into energy. So Marmite's good for that, and coffee and tea, which are not overly expensive here, but you don't generally get offered those things so much on going around on Pindapart. People coming to visit you often bring those things, but my kapia can keep me supplied of those things out of your kind donations. So I'm very well looked after. I need no more, want for nothing. And this is the point. This practice is to eradicate desire, wanting, and to see that when we do want something a little bit over and above what we need, really recognize that for what it is, and see that desire arising, and at that point trying to not suppress it, but understand it. And often just that thinking process of understanding desire arising cuts it off in its prime, cuts it off at the root, stops it growing, if you like, stops it becoming, manifesting into a habit again. So things come up. I mean, often I'm thinking in the morning on my way back, when it's hot, it's always hot, but when it's bright and sunny too, a nice cold drink would be nice now. And I've been quite fortunate that often my kapia has turned up here when I have arrived back from Arms Round. He comes to help with the food distribution. With it, he has a nice cold drink, and it's easy to really enjoy that and get used to that and take it for granted. But then when he doesn't turn up, you can see and realize and identify that feeling of what it is, that disappointment. Oh, where's Gamini today with my cold drink? Maybe he's not coming. I'll have to just have a coffee. I would like my cold drink. And you see, this is desire. This is wanting something, not that you need, just something you've got used to, something you like, something you want. This is wanting. This is tanha. This is unwholesome desire. Not immoral, nothing wrong with wanting a cold drink, but when we're training our mind to this intensity, it's these little things that we notice very vividly throughout our day. We don't just habitually go and pick something up. We're not allowed to go to a shop, pick up a cold drink, buy it and walk out and drink it and think nothing of it. We have to go to quite an effort to get that cold drink, have someone go. We can't ask for it. We have to, Gamini knows I like them, so he's always going and getting me cold drinks. And I think, he's used to dealing with tourists, and we as tourists aren't used to this climate and are hot and require cold drinks, or we think we do. So that's just a side, but one thing. So I didn't go down to the beach where it's a lot more quiet to talk today, because the ground where I sit there is going to be quite wet. There's also not much breeze, so I think there might be quite a bit of sandflies and things down there. So I thought, well, I would try in here again and try and not speak when the noisy vehicles go by. I've now got very used to this. I don't notice this traffic sound so much, like all things. at night when it quietens down, I notice the extra extreme quiet more than I notice this noise in the day. But apologies if it's a little bit distracting for you listening to this talk. However, it should be a continual reminder of what's happening is you're hearing sounds. Sounds continuously, we're hearing sounds. You're hearing background sounds, you're hearing what you're listening to, and interspersed amongst that are some words that I am saying. But they're not important. It's not what I'm saying that is important. What is important is what you are thinking as a result of what I'm saying. So when listening to Dharma, one should relax, not overanalyze each and every word and try and memorize, but even if you zone out a little and miss parts, it's okay. What's happening is, consciously and subconsciously, your thought patterns are being directed in a wholesome direction. You're developing wholesome mind states. And this is what we call panya, or wisdom, the development of wholesome mind states and the reduction of unwholesome mind states. So whether you listen intently or you don't, you're still not developing unwholesome mind states. So in that sense, it's a wholesome activity. Whereas if you're listening to, say, some violent drama story or something like this, or some, I don't know, I can't think of what you could listen to that's unwholesome, but something unwholesome, then maybe this is, I don't know, then you're developing unwholesome mind states, whether you're listening to that intently or not intently. So that's the whole point, as listening to Dharma is also part of our practice, as it is speaking Dharma, talking to other people, sharing Dharma with them, not in a evangelical, proselytizing way, preaching way, in a speaking the truth, talking of reality. I had some very nice Upasakas come to see me yesterday evening, whom are sorting out, there's a big bag there, I would get up and show you, but that perhaps best not, of jackfruit tree, heartwood, all chopped up into little neat chunks. And they showed me even a video of the man doing this in his workshop. They're going to come, build a fire with cinnamon wood and boil the water with these chunks of jackfruit chunks, and boil it all up for me to wash my robes and dye my robes in the correct and prescribed way that we do it in the Thai Forest tradition. Because this is what we were doing in Thailand, but I haven't been doing for a few months in India, because I didn't really have the access or the people to help put this all, because certain things we can't do. We can't go chopping trees down and wood and things like that, and we can't light fires as bhikkhus either. So they're very excited and happy to do that. So they're bringing all the bits to put this together so we can have a cauldron full of this solution to boil my robes and get them dyed and cleaned thoroughly and properly in this special solution which keeps them fresh in this humid climate. And that means every Uposatha I can really get all of them, my 3 robes washed properly. And it was wonderful. They came here to discuss that, and they're also organising the necessities with regards to my visa, so that I can stay here not on a tourist visa, because I'm here on a tourist visa, but as a monk technically shouldn't be, because I'm not really a tourist, of course. So although they don't mind, because they check this when you arrive clearly, and I asked if I should go to immigration, and they said no. They were just very keen to get me to where I was staying and help, really bend over backwards to help me. So they're also sorting out. So we had this discussion, and then they asked me some questions, and we sat like this, and we had this conversation right here, a nice long talk about them sharing their ideas of Dharma with me and me with them. They were asking me some questions about meditation, and this is what it's all about. And this went quite late on into the evening, about 9:30 or so. But it was very nice to sit here in this, it's a very quiet environment at that time of the evening, and just discuss the Dharma, but also from my own point of view, because I'm hearing the point of view, some lay people's point of view, and their practical application of the Dharma in life, which I've been apart from for some time now, in lay life. It's been actually many years now since I've led an ordinary lay life, going to work, living in a house with a family, and so on and so forth. So I'm quite detached from that. So it's very important to stay grounded in your practice, but also to understand how people are living now, and how they are using the practical applications of the Dharma in their day-to-day activities, rather than me just talking about it and putting two and two together from my own past experience of lay life and my current experience as a monk. I can share my experience as a monk with lay people who are living the lay life right now as upasikas, but as practicing Buddhists. So it's a very useful interaction, a very useful interaction, and it's this interdependence that is the fourfold assembly of lay men, lay women, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, or monks and nuns, that the Buddha said is essential for the sasana, the Buddha sasana, the religion of Buddhism, to live, to survive, to grow, to remain. Even this, however, he said, is not permanent. All conditioned things are impermanent. Even the Buddhist religion. He's given a date, a time. He said it will be around for 5,000 years. Now, being as we're 2,566 years into this Buddhisasana, we're just over halfway through. And if you think of that, it's a very long time. But it shows you the reality and the truth behind it, that the Buddha even then could say with conviction, and we can be confident in what he said because we can see how things grow and how things diminish again. And he said with conviction that this would be the case. So after that, then it's going to be a very, very long time, after 5,000 years, where there will be no Buddha sasana, no Buddhist religion, until the next Buddha comes along, Maitreya Buddha. So a lot of people in other traditions, in the northern schools, are rather reliant on that aspect of the future. But in this Theravada school, we're very much concerned with what's happening now, what we can do now, with our own lives, with this religion, the application of it in reality, and the benefits we can derive from it, which are so great. The benefits of practicing sila, samadhi, panya are really developing confidence in yourself, in the way you live, to give yourself contentment. And it's contentment that actually results in happiness. We don't get happiness through acquiring things, whether it's intellectual knowledge or property or physical assets, even gaining attributes and skills. We'll get temporary relief from our suffering by distraction, but we won't get actual satisfaction, because all these desires, tanha, unwholesome desires, are insatiable desires. They're unsatisfiable. We're just continually fighting, trying to satisfy what cannot be satisfied. With the realization of this, we come to terms with this, and we accept that the only truth is that there is suffering, and we have to identify the cause of that suffering as being desire, and by undermining, uprooting that unwholesome desire and replacing it with the wholesome desires of generosity, of morality, kindness generally, we are gaining these qualities of being. We're gaining these Brahma Viharas, this metta, loving kindness, of karuna, compassion, mudita, joy for others, and ultimately upekkha, equanimity. We're building these qualities within ourselves, rather than looking, seeking, going here, going there, trying to find satisfaction. We're finding and seeing that it's there within us already, in our actual just being, and being at peace with what is, knowing that everything that is, whatever we're experiencing, is just that, an experience in the present moment. It may be an experience we are really appreciative of, really enjoying, we really love, and then there's a danger of becoming attached to that experience. And then when it's gone, we are suffering, we're disappointed. Or it may be an experience that we really don't like, we're really not appreciative of, and it's really getting us down. And we have this experience of, or this emotion of ill will, aversion, hatred towards it. So we're suffering right away. And only when it finishes, eventually, do we think, I'm glad that's over. But then we have more suffering worrying about the next time that happens. But if we see, and when we see, as we do, and we learn through this training in this Buddhist practice, that all things are impermanent. Anicca is the Pali word. And they are what cause this unsatisfactoriness, suffering, and dukkha, and that everything's out of our control, anatta. When we see that clearly, we see everything for the truth of what it is, just that, an experience in the moment that can be just observed and as witness, noticed, but not grabbed hold of. So like seeing some hot ember, you don't want to go and pick it up and burn your fingers. You just know it's a hot ember, let it sit, let it cool. And this is the same with these experiences, both good and bad. We don't attach to them. We don't try and push them away, and we don't try and pull them to us. We just know them for what they are. It doesn't mean you can't have enjoyable experiences. It doesn't mean you won't have unenjoyable experiences. But you try not to be attached to them, so that when they pass, when they are over, when it's finished, you are neither relieved or disappointed. It's just another phase, a passing moment. Into the next moment, then you have a fresher and clearer approach, an open and more receptive approach. And that sudden peace and quiet with the birds as the cars all just finish is so noticeable, isn't it? I don't know whether it comes across so much on here as it does here, but that is very clear. You get used to this ongoing background noise, but when it stops, there's that silence there. But we don't cling to that silence, as we don't cling or have aversion to the noise. We just notice, we have observation, awareness of all of these things that are going on. And we sharpen this ability, we polish up the lens for this seeing clearly with our practice of meditation, of samadhi, developing this focus on one object, meditation object. In the way I practice and the way I talk about meditation, this meditation object is always the breath. I don't use another meditation object. So this is very important. It's always with you. You're always training your mind to be focused on the breath, so that when you are experiencing everything throughout our daily activities you're also being aware of your breath, and can be, to ground yourself, just bring yourself back to being that observer and being able to see things clearly. And seeing things clearly, the Pali word for that is vipassana. So they call that insight meditation sometimes. Knowing things arise, stay a while, pass away. So it's the same experience, but it's not separate, not something separate from samadhi meditation. They go hand in hand together. So each and every day, as I meet the people more and more in the local town and around on this, I'm reminded of my obligation to the Sangha, to represent the Sangha as, not myself, but the overall Sangha that people have taken refuge in, the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha, those monks and nuns whom have renounced worldly life and rely on the support of lay people for that privilege to be able to focus on their practice 100%, not be doing other things, but to really focus on becoming free from suffering in this lifetime, in order to encourage other people to see how that is possible and experience that, and then for us to share that experience with others, which is what I try to do here via this medium. So I haven't really got around to answering or talking about any of your questions and comments this morning, because I started talking and didn't stop. Now I shall stop, because it's time for me to sit for a little while, practice. I'm going to put the fan on and sit exactly here for a little while, and continue with this tomorrow, when I will be able to get back to talking about some of your comments and questions that you've sent in, which I do appreciate very much, because it gives you the opportunity to share with me what you're experiencing of the practice, and me the opportunity to share with you how it affects me in this life as a monk, but also how you can use this by way of its practical application in your lives also. So I hope there's something useful there for you. If so, please use it. If not, just let it go and share this with anyone you think might be interested. Thank you for watching. It's all gone nice and quiet again for a moment.